Okay guys, so David Morrell Jr. He's 26 years and counting, stands at a height of 6'1", is blessed by God with the Southpaw stance, held the WBA Regular Super Middleweight title, and has now moved up to fight for the same title at light heavyweight. He, in my mind, represents the next generation of pro Cuban boxers, and it's based on some of the ideas that I'm going to talk about in this video. As there's this false idea that keeps getting repeated and regurgitated, and I commonly hear it from people who don't really know about Cuban boxing and the school system that is based on. In fact, to be totally honest with you,
most motherfuckers don't know shit about boxing.
Thank you, Uncle Roger. Okay, listen up guys. So the falsehood that keeps getting thrown around is that the Cuban style of boxing works well in the amateurs, but not in the pros. I'm going to provide you with some insight into the first part of that fallacy that brings up the notion of a Cuban style of boxing, and then I'll address the pros and amateur part. So the first part of that statement talks about a Cuban style of boxing, and I need to let you guys know, there's no Cuban style of boxing. There's just Cuban technique. What is being referred to as Cuban style, where boxers move their feet, is simply a tactic that is used by Cuban boxers because it was nationally accepted that this would be the best tactic to employ when fighting against foreign boxers. That's it. During the 70s and 80s, it was consensus that Cuban boxers would utilize less power and aggression in amateur fights and instead more footwork and mobility. This is because most rival nations had extremely clumsy and uncoordinated boxers. This somewhat holds true also today. Okay, peep this. I was talking to one strength and conditioning coach who works with boxers, and he was telling me that if boxers want to become more coordinated in technique, they should simply practice the technique more often as opposed to doing coordination drills. First, I doubt he even knew what coordination drills were because he used a speed and agility video to support his ideas. Also, the purpose of technique is not to make you coordinated because they are movements to improve the efficiency of your boxing. Coordination drills are performed to coordinate the body parts together. So the drills give you as an athlete a more intrinsic benefit, and in particular your limbs. So your left hand becomes coordinated to both feet, your right hand becomes coordinated to both feet. This is the reason why most orthodox boxers can't throw a jab while moving to the right correctly. I'm telling you, most boxers are clumsy and uncoordinated. It's annoying to even watch them sometimes. God damn it. So conversely, when Cuban boxers fight one another, you can observe a more aggressive tactic that uses less footwork. This is because the boxers understand that footwork is not much of a potent weapon against another opponent who similarly possesses good, dynamic and agile footwork. So Cuban boxing isn't this flashy form you see the boxers moving with. It's purely about technique. This is what every Cuban boxing coach teaches. Okay, so upon hearing what I'm saying, it's likely that you might be thinking, yeah, but my boxing coach also teaches technique. My response to this would be no, not all boxing coaches teach technique. Some of them will teach you style, like the style they used when they were boxing as an amateur, and they are limited in knowledge of boxing to their style. Also, another big factor of the coaching is that they do not teach you in a structured and efficient way. Guys, remember, when Cuban boxing is usually the topic of conversation, it is normally identified as the school of Cuban boxing. That all the sessions in the year are already placed in a syllabus. Just like when you go to school to learn maths or science, all the lessons are already structured so that they follow in a logical manner. Me guys, this is a big problem because most of you are going to boxing clubs where the coaches teach you random things every time you attend. Nothing follows on. On top of that, most of them are teaching you a style they were comfortable boxing with and not the fundamentals that you need to rely on when you go to fight. Next time you go to your club, ask your coach, if he has a syllabus for the sessions, so you can really appreciate the gravity of what I'm trying to tell you. Now, let me touch on the pro-amateur part of that ridiculous, fallacious, erroneous statement. Of course, it's no debate whatsoever whether Cuban boxing works in the amateurs. Go and tally the world champion and Olympic gold medalist from the 1960s. I say the 1960s because that's when Cuba entered amateur boxing during the Cold War period. There's a reason for that as well. One of you that is good with numbers and analytical, please tally the medal numbers and leave it in the comments. Do this for the top 5 countries if you can. So let's focus on the pros. In pro boxing, you have seen less than 1% of the boxers that Cuba produces. That 1% is mainly representative of Olympic champions who, upon leaving Cuba for international competitions, have then defected. Now, these boxers have been highly conditioned for a long time to fight fast and fleet-footed to 3 rounds for 3 minutes. Now, don't get me wrong, Olympians do make good pros. Look at Roy Jones Jr., Sugar Ray Leonard, Alexander Usyk, and Floyd Mayweather. However, they turned pro when they wanted to. They didn't have to waste time training to go to the Olympics and even a second Olympics so that they could defect. Also, when you defect, you lose your family, your friends, and all the things related to your training environment. Now, when we look at the pros who didn't go to the Olympics, we have boxers such as Naoya Inoue, Terence Crawford, and Canelo Alvarez. Now, I can tell you from my own experience, there are a significant number of highly skilled Cuban boxers that fit into this bracket. Or they're less conditioned to amateur boxing's fast-paced trend, and they will not go to the Olympics, are actually beginning the transition to the pros themselves. Now, in Cuba's more recent times, the government has become less restrictive on the movements of its athletes, but not fully. So as a Cuban, if you have several $1,000s to aid your departure from Cuba, then all is well. Considering the monthly wage is less than $100, well, all is not lost, but all is far from being well. In any case, this is why David Morrell Jr. represents the next generation in Cuban boxing. He's a highly skilled technical boxer who is a product of the powerhouse school of Cuban boxing, is young but still experienced with low mileage, and has transitioned to the pros at a time before his prime. We can expect to see great things from him and others just like him. Always, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Anyway guys, that's all for now. I really hope you've enjoyed watching the video. Please remember to smash the like button if you have enjoyed watching this particular update. Remember to leave a comment within the comment section if you want to add anything about David Morrell Jr. So until my next one, peace out.